Choice you ma pay, madam, pay
Papa, Mama, welcome, Mama. How are you, my dear? Sister Oni, and I was never enrolled in this school, although I used to go near it to share the children recite multiplication table under the tree in the school compound. 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 6, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, 2 times 6, 2 times 7, 14. Papa was not always around. Papa would disappear and then return in a few days. And when he comes, he's always in uniform and facing cap.
I'm ready for work now.
Papa, buy me something where I'm coming back home. Papa, you know what I want? Kuli.
Oh, mommy, look at it now.
Papa. The Tapa women were always dressed in colorful headgears and wrappers. They sold rice mostly. They were guaris, but they were not as many as Tapa. Also, I thought. Tapa women will always bring big bowls of rice for Mama to buy and sell. Well done, no. Bye-bye. Sonu. Bye-bye. Tomorrow. Mama. I love Mama. Mama was fair, beautiful, and fair in complexion. She had 3 strokes on her cheeks. It was as though she was born with them. And Mama also has some things written on her forearm and her shin. Mama, what is this?
It is called Kolo.
Kolo. Mama, what is Kolo?
They call it tattoo.
Mama, what is tattoo?
Tattoo is Kolo. Kolo is tattoo.
Kolo is tattoo. Tattoo is Kolo. Okay, Mama, this one on your cheeks, is it also Kolo tattoo? Ila tribal mark. Ila tribal mark. Ila
tribal mark.
Oh, Ila tribal mark. Ila tribal mark.
You see, Ila is for beautification of our bodies. And it's also for identification. If you come across a Yoruba man or woman anywhere, you can easily tell where he or she comes from. Tattoo is just an addition from our bodies.
Oh, so that is why, and that's what the Tapa and the Guaris have on their bodies.
Exactly, what
but Mama, this one on your arm, I know it is something. What is it?
Emily Adeola Omadesina.
Emily Adeola Omadesina. What's that?
That's my name.
No, Mama, no, God forbid, it cannot be your name. Shebi, you are Iyaladele, Iya George, Iya James, Iya Comfort.
To you and your brothers, I'm Iyaladele, Iya George, Iya Comfort. To my father and mother, I am Emily Adeola Adesina.
But Mama, you say Emily Adeola Omadesina.
Yes.
You never say Adeola Adesina.
Hey, it is still the same thing. Adesina is my father's name. Omo means child. Adeola Omo Adesina.
So Mama, your father's child as big as you are.
I am proudly my father's daughter. Just like you are proudly your father's son. Okay.
Yes, Mama. But Mama, what is this one on your leg?
Today is the big day of questions. Solomon Uke Okomi.
Solomon Uke Okomi. Oh, that's your father's name?
No. Solomon Uke is your father's name.
Oh, so my father is Solomon Uke Okomi.
Okomi means my husband. Solomon Uke is my husband.
So, Mama, wait. So, Papa is your husband. But Mama, why do you have Solomon Uke Okomi on your leg?
Oriko.
James.
Papa.
2 times 4.
2 times 4. 8.
Èmi lọ́jọ́.
With Emily Adeola Omoakeshino
and Solomon Uke Okomi, boldly tattooed on his mother's body. She was not only saying that she was her father's daughter.
She was also certainly announcing to the world that she has stamped herself with her husband for life.
And the lesson to be learned from that is that there could never be a greater act of loyalty than for a woman to bring into her being her husband.
Mama was like that. Mama, your hair is fine.
Thank you, Okomi.
But Mama, this one that I have done, what is it called? Shuku. Okay, what about the one before this one? What about the one before this one?
Mama,
Mama, you are so okay, Mama, what about the one before the one? But Mama, you are talking nothing, Mama. I know you want me to be angry, but I'm not angry. Mama, why is it called Shuku?
Because they are hairstyles and they must either be Chubu, Ipakwelede, or Kolese.
The next thing I remember was we got to Kaduna. I cannot remember the exact date, but it must have been late 1935 or the first month of 1936.
He just found they were in a strange town that was not Mina. His parents' room and father accommodation faced Prince Edward's Way, and he was amazed to see people on long trousers peddling some contraptions.
It was in Kaduna that he first saw bicycles. In fact, everybody in his compound were Hausa, except one man called Yemiri. He was a young man and he lived alone.
I do not know why they called him that name when he was not in.
Whenever he was going out in the morning,
he would lock his dog with a giant padlock.
Sister Oni, I'm hungry.
Food will soon be ready. But you had them by yesterday now.
Oh, so because I had them by yesterday, I should not eat again today.
I said you soon eat.
Sister, it's too I want.
Okay.
Sister Oni, who is that man? Who? That yellow man. Yomiri. They call him Yomiri. Why they call him Yomiri? Is that his name? Uncle Yomiri!
and in the evening he would sit by his door singing in a language that was definitely not Hausa.
This Yomiri doesn't speak to anyone. And when he does, it was in pidgin English. He acts as though he's afraid of talking to people.
Hello.
struggling with it.
Sister Oni, this man will give me, Sister Oni. Sister Oni, he won't give me. Sister Oni, I'm afraid of him. Please take me away from him, Sister Oni. He won't kill you. No, I don't want. You are a strange man. You don't talk to anybody. You can't come on through. Back come again and down.
What do you that one?
You are a strange man. No. No, Mama said I should not collect anything from strangers.
Take it.
Sister Oni,
Take it.
Sister Oni, it's because of you.
Take it.
Thank you.
Sit down. You're a good boy. What's your name?
Sunana James.
Where you go?
Not just Sunana James.
Oh. You mean say your name na James? What of your brother?
Sunana Chisan.
James. Chisan.
Yes, you. That's Sunana Yesunekefa Sunan Kayamiri.
Where do you talk about?
I see the family.
Mama, what you abusive words? Don't you know that it is an abusive word for Popo?
Mama, what's this Popo?
People who doesn't speak Hausa and Yoruba.
Mama, I don't know.
Prostrate there now. Tell him you are very sorry.
I'm
Like
sorry.
a very child.
I'm very sorry.
Get up. Put your legs now. And run back to the parlor.
No. Mama. Leave her.
Sorry, Jare, of yellow. It's because of you I want to leave you. Next time if you abuse, just let me know. You will see why that thing is
Thank you, Mama.
You are a good boy. Mila, I want to be your friend.
But who are you? I don't know you. You know me, wetin be that?
Yoruba.
Wetin come be? Hausa. Oh, so you no be Hausa. Wetin you come be if you no be Hausa or Yoruba? Okay, Hausa na Gambari. But wetin you come be if you no be Ngbati or Gambari? Oh, so now Igbo people then they call you me. Mama, please don't tell Mama I call you me.
It's okay. No what? Me although Ngbati and Gambari, then they call us Yomi.
Okay.
But Yomi be give me water.
You say make I
But
give you water.
not like that. What I mean say for Igbo language,
Okay.
mean give me water.
Oh, so your name no be Yomiri, now give me water.
This way, you be good boy. You be good boy. See, I like you well. When you reach your school now, you go get plenty people for there. No abuse them. Now God create everybody. So no abuse anybody. When you talk to?
When after Kaduna, he did not forget what Yomiri and his mother told him.
They did not deal with anybody on the base of their language.
He always remembered his mother's admonition and what Yomiri told him.
Now God create everybody. No abuse anybody.
Now God creates everybody. No abuse anybody. In front of our house was a big expanse of land where big houses were built. And it was said that Magajin Giri worked there. I did not know of Magajin Giri until one day when I heard some songs. with a conch. I don't know what he was saying, but he was passing through our house. Who is he?
Magajingeri's man, he's town crier.
Oh, who is Magajingeri?
The ruler of Kaduna.
Oh, so the ruler of Kaduna is a town crier.
The town crier is someone who tells people messages for the Magajingeri.
Oh, okay. Well, it was not long after then that I knew who Magajingeri really was. He was actually a ruler of Kaduna.
He always sat on a large round mat of many colors. Some other people sat around him too, but on smaller mats. His babariga was always bigger than the others. And his turban was always so big.
Sometimes I wondered if he had the mouth at all.
His mouth was always hidden in those turbans.
I renounce you for lunch.
Papa, see, Sister only said that the Magajingeri is the ruler of Kaduna. Is that?
Oh, of course, it is true. It is the ruler of Kaduna.
If he's the ruler of Kaduna, then is he like me?
He's a man like me. Of course, a human being like you too.
What if he's a human being like you and me? Then why does he cover his mouth in that clothes? Why does he not come to our house? Is it because he's not your friend?
He is the leader of Kaduna. He should be everybody's friend.
But if he's the leader of Kaduna, then you take me to go and see him one day.
No. See, Magajingeri has gods. Those men you see in uniform and they face guards, those are his gods.
But Papa, who are guards?
The people who protect Magajingeri.
But why do guards have to drive people away from him if he's the ruler of Kaduna?
Because he is the biggest man in Kaduna.
But Papa, he cannot be bigger than those white men that used to pass in front of our house.
No, see, James, those ones are not big men at all. The big white men are those whom Magajingeri himself comes to their offices to visit them.
So because they are big now, you cannot take me to go and see them.
I told you, you can't. It's only on Empire Days that you can see them.
So Papa, why is it only on Empire Day that you have to see big men and rulers of Kaduna?
Because they are leaders and rulers of Kaduna.
But Papa, if you know only on Empire Day that...
One night, not long after they arrived Kaduna, Mama brought out a slate and leaned it against the wall.
He did not know what it was for, but he had seen some children in seminar school carrying something like that.
Mama, I don't want to sleep now. Mama, go and sleep now. Because you are waking up every morning. Mama, you have to sleep. Go inside and don't know you. Okay, Mama.
The following morning, Mama woke him early and scrubbed him neatly. Mama brought out some newly made clothes, a shirt, and a pair of shorts. After toweling and oiling his body, she wore the clothes on him.
Mama, thank you. Mama, thank you. Thank you so much, Mama. You have bought me new clothes. Fine clothes. Fine clothes. Dele!
What is your mother?
No, Mama, I want to tell Dele that you bought me new clothes. Okay, Mama. Your friend will soon come out now. Thank you, Mama.
I hope you are settled.
We are almost.
I don't want to be late to the office.
Papa, you are still around. Papa, are you not going to work today?
I will come to work.
But Papa, you told me that it's not good to be late for work.
I won't be late for
But Papa, you'll be late now.
Why should I be late?
Hey, Papa, see, Sister Oni told me that you ride in trains. Is that?
Don't mind me. I work in trains. I work in trains. Yeah, follow me, let us go now.
Papa, see, Mama brought me new clothes. Mama, thank you. He's still not coming with us, Papa.
No. You see, you are taking him to school. Just like your elder brother, George, he will be attending school now.
He did not know who George was, but he had heard Mama being called George occasionally.
What is his name?
James Solomon.
James Solomon. Okay. Are you sure he's old enough to go to school?
All right, Titi. All right, Titi.
And has bridges.
You will be fight after school every day. Walk me. But you are shaking at you.
He's a big boy now. Let us go. Now, A, B, C, D, continue.
E.
It's right here. What?
G.
H.
I. My life in St. Joseph's School, Kaduna, from January 1936 to December 1941 was fun.
As far as we children of St. Joseph were concerned, it was by far the best school in Kaduna and better than any other school anywhere.
There were two things that we did far better than every other school.
On Empire Day, 24th May, we turned out better. With a good school band in front, and the last week after the
with the clergy respectfully dressed and the host carried in what seemed to be a royal carriage.
They wended their ways, hundreds of them, proudly singing.
Why did God make you?
God made me to know Him, to love Him, to be happy with Him in this life and in the next.
In whose image and likeness did God make you?
In His own image and likeness.
It was as if He was answering the most important questions of His life.
It was as if He was giving answers not to a human being, but to God Himself.
To me, there were not mere repetitions of the words in the little book of catechism.
He felt he was making an affirmation about what his relationship with God should be.
From the day he answered his class teacher those questions in 1937 till his death.
Those statements in those answers have been the bedrock of my life and my purpose in life.
At the age of 9, he knew them all. The Paternoster.
Paternoster qui reciteli, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Pane nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimissimum debitoribus nostris, et nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo.
He always took the time of Angelus, noon and evening sacred time for prayers. He carried the book of Catechism with reverence and carried it everywhere he went, even up to Ibadan High School. In standard 1, he was sat near 2 sisters, Justina and Agatha, and he would request Agatha to ask him.
Agatha, ask me now. I know the sacrament.
You don't know it.
I know it.
You don't know it.
Ask me first.
Ask him first. You don't know it. You only want us to think that he knows it. It's only Salakiri pupils that have been taught.
Okay, ask me and I'll prove to you that I'm in standard 3.
Okay. What is a sacrament?
Okay. A sacrament is an outward sign of inward grace ordained by Jesus Christ, by which grace is given to our souls.
Ah, you're so young.
Okay. So you can ask me what I mean by limbo. No limbo. Okay, if you want to ask that one, ask what pocket you use.
Hey, I know that one. No. Which one is pocket? But you know that limbo song.
I remember.
Sorry, in Africa. Sorry, in Africa. Nine, baby, Congo, orange, limbo,
Illiterate. I did not say limbo. Read my lips. I said limbo.
Yes.
Hi. What?
Illiterate.
Yes.
I'm not very
Sorry now. Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, you have not asked me what limbo is.
Okay. What do you mean by limbo?
By limbo, I mean a place of rest where the souls of the dead who had died before Christ are retained.
Actually, it was the word limbo that fascinated him.
He thought there was something esoteric about it.
Words like limbo
and purgatory used to fascinate him.
I also wanted to be a priest. Papa!
Friend, I may not be able to see you tomorrow. Let me reach you first.
Papa, where are you?
Let me reach you. See, the problem is when I come back later in the evening, we'll see what we can do.
Papa, I like our Reverend Fathers. I also want to be a Catholic church priest, Papa.
Of course, it's a good thing to be a priest. But James, let me tell you, you cannot be a Catholic priest.
Oh, why, Papa? Why can't I?
Because you were never born Catholic. You were born Anglican.
Oh, so it's only those that are born Catholic that can be Catholic church priest. Oh, Papa, why am I not born Catholic? Papa?
St. Joseph was a 9-class school, but he spent just 6 years for his primary education.
He read classes
1, 2, and 3
in 1 year, 1936, and at the end of every term, he was promoted onto the next class.
In 1937, his most precious possession was a book called Pendlebury.
Of course, the correct title is
A Shilling Arithmetic.
but it was authored by a man called
Pendlebury.
Pendlebury! No, Mama, it's not a song, Mama. It's the name of a book. Pendlebury. 1 shilling arithmetic, pendulum, 1 shilling. Mama, it's not pendulum, it's pendulum. Yes, Mama, see, my teacher said that it's a big book. Then inside this contains all forms of shapes and sizes and problems. Mama, see, Mama, he said that since we are no longer infants, that we have to read and buy pendulum, problem, pendulum,
problem, pendulum. You do not carry pendulum in your tin box of sachets.
Oh no, you held it in your left hand in such a way that anybody who cared will see the title of the book with little effort.
It was to announce to the world that you have left the playground of infants and have been tossed into the arena of standard where you wrestle with fractions,
Decimals,
including recurring words, squares,
cube roots,
and even problem of speed of trains. Standard 1 was different. Now they had a hole and a hole for an inkwell. Now they had
exercise books. 2A, 2B, and 2C was for cursive writing.
the handwriting of some of you is so bad that even ants have better cursive handwriting. You have to be very careful when writing cursive. A bad cursive is an abuse of
The Queen's handwriting.
An abuse of the Queen's handwriting is worse than
Deep
crime is even worse than
felony.
So, my dear pupils, while listening to dictation, you must be very careful how you write. I can score you 100% for your dictation and 0 mark for your handwriting. So you must listen to me when I dictate to you. But before dictation today, we shall recite the poem, Walk While You Walk. Recite!
Walk while you walk, play while you play, do you
Did I teach you that?
What they recited in that distorted manner is in fact a poem which has acted until now one of his guides. It is properly recited this way. Work while you work, play while you play, to be useful and happy. This is the way. All that you do with your mind, think of my heart, and never know right. Many of the boys in his new standard 3 class were big in his estimation.
Many bigger than Sister Oni, who was told was at least 5 years older than him.
Many of them were so tall that when he stood beside them, his head could not reach their shoulders.
And they had such muscular legs that he began to appreciate his school for doing well in football and 3-legged race.
He was afraid to tell them his age.
Who is this rat?
I'm not a rat, I'm a boy.
Where are you going? Don't you know your class?
This is my class.
You? And as small as this is standard 3?
You to as big as this is standard.
You know what I'm saying? How can you promote to standard 3 when people like us? Do you think this class is for people that think it's different? Don't mind him. He must have come to St. Joseph on transfer. With a transfer certificate on which is simply written promoted to standard 3. How can you promote to standard 3? Who's that part of promotional exam? Now, standard 3 baby. How old are you? How old are you?
Don't beat my head, don't beat my head.
You cannot tell us your age. Now, look at me, standard 3 baby. I that you see here, competently in standard 3. I am 15 years of age. And I that you see here, I am 16 years of age. And that age to me is standard 3. So, what is your age?
And I that you see here, comfortably in standard 3, I am 9 years of age.
You see now? You are a baby.
But boy or child, he was not afraid of his work. He worked so hard that at the end of year examinations in December 1938, he was among the best 10 boys in his class.
But he did not resume with St. Joseph in January 1939. He had to travel to Zaria to live with his sister, Sister Olusegun.
Zaria was for him a new world. The house they lived in was called by everyone H5.
Because that was the name affixed to it. you will see boldly written in the front entrance of the house. Zaria. One of the many surprises in 85 is that everybody in the compound spoke only one language, Yoruba.
At first, it was strange to him. How could everyone speak only one language and not Hausa?
Here, there was no Yemiri. That means no pidgin English. Worse still, prayers were said in a manner he had never experienced before.
No Hail Marys. No Our Father in English. Hymns at age 5 were Yoruba hymns.
His sister was an tax mistress, and soon he considered her a horrible woman.
A few days after she brought him from Kaduna, she called him.
James! James! Ma'am!
Do you know the way to the kitchen?
Yes.
Good. Lead the way and I'll follow you.
Okay, ma'am. This is the kitchen, ma'am.
Very good. Now what is this?
Pepper.
Very good.
Son Gaki. Well done, Auntie. Son Gaki.
What am I doing?
You are grinding pepper.
I know you are not blind. Do you see how I'm grinding it?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the way you'll be grinding the pepper as of tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am.
And now look, do you see any of ground pepper seeds in it?
There's one in that. No, ma'am. Everything is smooth.
Very good. Your pepper must be smoother than this. If I find any of ground pepper seeds in the pepper that you grind, your mother in Kaduna will be sorry for you. What did I say?
If you find any pepper, any ungrinded in the pepper that I grind, my mother in Kaduna will be sorry for me.
Very good. I have brought you to Zaria to teach you some sense. Your mother had almost spoiled you. A few months more and maggots would have been falling from your body that was already rotting with unnecessary care and protection. What did I say?
You said that you have brought me to Zaria to teach me sense. The maggots are already falling from my body.
Very good. Go and play. Go and play and let them room. You will start yours tomorrow.
All through the night, he thought and thought about his ordeal for the following day.
He was a small boy, and this woman said he must do something he had never done before.
He had seen Mama and Sister Oni grind the pepper. Was not a quarter of what he just saw his sister grind.
Pepper for the whole house and more than 20 people will eat. What's my life coming to? What about my school?
He slept off. Then, the following morning, when he had dreamt seeing himself struggling between two massive grinding stones, he heard sister's voice.
James! Wake up! Wake up! Hey, it's easy. Don't wash your face. Wash it very well. Have you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why I've asked you to wash your face?
No.
So that you can see very well on the road. You are going to sell soda soap this
But
morning.
you say it's pepper of the grind.
There are 24 pieces of soap in that tray on your head. They are half pence each. That means you must return with 1 shilling. Did you hear me? Why did I ask you to wash your face?
So I'll be able to see the road well.
Good. So open your eyes properly so that you can see. And I advise you to be very careful not to lose any to thieves or those clever people who want to pretend to buy money. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
If you lose my money, James, if you lose my money, I will beat the hell out of you. Did you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Good morning. Yeah, follow them.
So, selling soda soap became his money.
But sister did not forget the pepper had to cry.
When he came back from selling soda soap on the first day,
Welcome. You're back. You sold everything.
Sold everything.
Good boy. Now, put your inside. And bring the pepper you find on that table. Quickly, quickly, quickly. And meet me at the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, kneel down and begin to grind. So you want to start getting, you will not wash that clothes, eh?
Sorry, ma'am.
Which is your fault? That's fathers know how to place your mother. It's like this. Oh yeah. You need to add more pressure. That pressure is not enough. Don't sprinkle that much water, Appa. Don't waste my baby. Spoiled child of his mother. Next time you remember not to take your hand near your eyes when you are grinding pepper. Appa. Go on, continue grinding the pepper. You are too slow. It looks like you can be taught. But I won't always stand by you when you are grinding pepper. You need to be faster. Because you will be coming to grind pepper every day from your 11 o'clock break. And you have to return to school. And if you return late to school for the afternoon session, you will be caned again. And if I ever hear you go late to school, whether in the morning after selling soda soap, or in the afternoon after grinding pepper, I will so beat you that the pig will be prettier than you. Elede and dad develop. Doctor and talk about me nule.
He was terribly afraid.
So the soap selling in the morning.
Pepper grinding in the house.
All the shadow of beating.
If I ever hear you go late to school, whether in the morning after selling your soda soap, or in the afternoon after grinding pepper, I will so beat you that people will be prettier than you. Elede and dad develop.
I'm not sure this is my true sister. If she were not beautiful or pretty, I would not hesitate to call her a witch.
St. Patrick's Catholic School. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
What's his name?
What's your name?
James Solomon.
Solomon James. Solomon is your surname?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Where is your former school? I mean, where are you coming from?
St. Joseph School, Kaduna.
Oh, St. Joseph School. That's only a Catholic school.
Yes, sir.
Oh, do you have a transfer certificate?
Oh, yes, it has.
Yes, sir.
Here it is, sir.
Oh, okay. What was your last class?
Standard 3.
Standard 3?
Yes, sir.
You? Are you sure you meant to say
He has been promoted to standard 4.
That's one?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Bring the transfer certificate.
Is it not supposed to?
Bring the transfer certificate.
Alright. On promotion to standard class 4. Amazing! Astonishing! This is marvelous!
I also sold coconut.
The first time he sold coconut, he sold everything, 6 pence worth.
Selling coconut also brought him trouble from Sister Folomsho.
Once, he went selling coconut and met this old classmate of his who loved to eat coconut but had no money.
Uche, where are you coming from?
I am going to play ball.
Okay.
Let's go together.
No, Baba, my auntie will beat me if I do not sell my coconut.
Is it every day that you must sell?
Yes.
If you don't sell today, nothing will happen.
I have to sell everything. She will beat me.
She won't beat
She
you.
will not be there when I'm being beaten, no.
No, she won't. Nobody will beat you.
She will beat me, Uche. I have to go.
I did.
Yes.
And I would have loved to help you by buying coconut, but I just lost my money now.
Oh, so pathetic. And that means no money, no coconut.
I did. What? Please now. You see, just give me little. Just give me little from coconut.
No, see, I
You
cannot
see
do
that
that.
you sell everything.
See, I cannot do that. My auntie will beat me.
But
Bye-bye.
you won't be beaten. Nobody
I will be beaten.
You will sell it if you allow me to cut a small bit from the big pieces. You will sell everything.
No, Uche, I cannot do that. I cannot risk it, Uche. I have to go. What is now?
And you say you are my friend. And the Bible says that we should not be stingy with anything that we have. And they just taught us the story of the good Samaritan that stood today. Now, you don't want to help a friend in need of coconut.
Uche, it's not like I'm stingy. Uche, it's not like it's my auntie. See, she'll beat me if I do not come back with the money for everything.
She won't beat you.
She'll beat me. Okay, see, if you say you'll be gentle with it, how do you say you do it?
You see, I will just cut small bits from the big pieces. Like this.
Okay, now, try.
This
Just
piece.
small pieces.
I will,
Uche, that's too big now. Uche, she'll beat me.
Okay, I will be gentle this time. I will be gentle.
Just one last one. Uche, that's big. Uche, bye-bye. Not one more. No, I'm not giving you.
Your coconut is sweet though. It's so sweet and tasty that the water must have dried into it. Thank you.
Okay, Uche.
Thank you, James. You are my very good friend.
You're my good friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Uche. After that day, I also started nibbling some of the big pieces.
He was also glad to find a way of eating coconut without anybody knowing and without paying.
Sister had warned him not to lose any money and make sure that if he did not make sale, he returned everything intact.
But a very bad day came when he nibbled the big coconut pieces too much.
Sales were very bad
on this day.
You spent longer time today.
Yes, I did not sell well.
That's okay. Put down your tray. You sell it tomorrow. James! What happened to the coconut pieces?
No, sister, I did not do anything to it. I did not do anything to it.
James! What happened to your coconut pieces?
I did not do anything.
Jamie, talk the truth or I'll descend on you.
It was one boy that saw me. I did not do anything.
Jamie, what did you do to the coconut?
Okay, I will say the truth. Sister. I just took one or two pieces of
You did what?
Just two or one or two.
You did what?
2 or 1.
Jamie, you want to be a thief, eh? Even if you want to be a thief, I won't allow you. Over my dead body. You will not die before you become a thief. You want to ruin the name of your father and mother, Abi? Eh? Were you hungry?
Yes.
What came over you? Eh? You know what? razor and pepper defense. That is what is best for a kid like you. Only. Then we need what?
He cried and cried on Tuesday.
The very day that schoolmate of his first did it, there was no trouble.
Why was he so unlucky? Why was his nipple to not so?
It must be a punishment from God.
He is good as hard as this woman they call his sister.
God, why are you so hard?
No, why is sister so hard?
Then one day, Papa came back from Kaduna. That was the day that I made the first urgent decision in my life.
Yeah, come on. Oni.
Papa! Papa, you're back!
You are home?
Yes, Papa.
Please come out. Where is your mother?
Papa, my mother is inside. Papa, Papa, are you not a soldier?
Oh, I've just joined the army.
Papa, did you drive me away from the railway?
Nobody took me away from anywhere.
But Papa, Father Marcus said that soldiers and those women are friends. Are they also your friends?
How can you see all those women are my friends? They are not my friend at all. I have eyes for only your mother.
Papa, I don't understand, Papa. But Mama, why are you crying?
Yes.
Papa, why are you letting Mama cry? Papa, are you leaving us? Papa, are you going to Burma or Abyssinia and North Africa?
See, James, I am not going to the army to play away my life. I am joining the army because of you and Sam, so that you can get good education. You know, I and your mother, we are so poor, we can't afford to give you the kind of education for us to. You understand? I am going into the army to give you good education. Alright?
Yes, Papa.
And, yeah, that's always take me out. James,
Papa.
what are you thinking about?
See, Papa, I will soon finish my secondary school. I will soon receive my as amended school leaving certificate, Papa. Papa, what will I do now that you will not be around?
You see, I've been thinking about that too. Yeah, I know you want to write your graduation.
Papa, what will I do now that you are not around, Papa?
See, I will always be around James. My spirit will always be at home with you. You need to get education. And I think that George will be able to sponsor you the right way.
Papa, see, my teacher said that Katsina College has been transferred to Kaduna.
That is true.
Yes, so Papa, I went to Kaduna Junction to ask about admission.
Did you go there?
Yes, Papa. Papa, they said I should go to the education department at the secretariat.
And then?
The gentleman that I saw gave me a form to fill, but he asked for my name first.
When he said James Ajibola Ige,
He was surprised and he looked at him and he asked, "Where did you come from?"
I told him that I live in Mina.
Then he asked, "Have you always lived in the north?"
Yes, I said I've been in the north since 1975, and before then, Kaduna.
And then he asked if his father was from the north.
And what did you have to tell me?
I told him I did not know. I did not know, Papa. So I told him I did not know.
Again he asked, "Where do you come from?"
I told him the only places that I know is Mina, Kaduna, and Zaria.
And then he asked, "Where is your hometown?"
I did not know. I told him I did not know, Papa.
Then he said, "Go and ask your parents and come back to work."
And you want to go back there tomorrow?
Yes, Papa. Papa, I want to go to school, Papa. Papa, he was about to give me a form to fill, but he said he would not give me until I come back with where your hometown is and where you are from, Papa. Papa, where are you from, Papa?
I'm from Esaoke.
Where is Esaoke?
About 14 miles from Ilesha.
Where is Ilesha?
Ilesha is about It's in the southwest of Nigeria.
Papa, where is your hometown?
I told you, I said Esaoke.
Oh, so it means that somebody's, where somebody is from is also somebody's hometown?
No, not necessarily so. You see, here, let me explain to you. You see your sister, she was born at Opa. Your elder brother, George, he was born at Oshogo. Sam, your younger one was born at Kishi. Incidentally, you are the only one of my children that was born at Esaoke. All the others were born at Ojulai.
Where is Ojulai, Papa?
All the railway stations that I got posted.
It was inconceivable that he was a native of any other place apart from Kaduna.
He went back to the education office the following day.
Good morning, sir.
James!
Yes, sir. James Ajibola Ige SAN.
So have you found out what I asked you to find out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My father is from Esaoke, sir.
Esaoke.
Yes, sir.
Where is that?
He's somewhere in the south. He's somewhere 14 miles away from there, sir.
How about you? Are you also close to Esaoke?
Yes, sir. I'm from Esaoke, sir. I'm from Yoruba land.
You are a native of Esaoke?
Yes, sir.
Hey, don't come to Esaoke?
Any other person.
Wait till we are coming.
This is boy Go.
Yes, sir.
You are James Ajibola Ige.
Yes, sir. Ajibola Ige, sir.
I'm very sorry. You cannot go to the college. The college is for children of nonsense and your father is not a no-nana.
Sir, what are you talking about, sir? My father told me that I've lived all my life in the north. How am I not a northerner?
I am very, very sorry. You cannot go to the college.
But sir,
It was like a dream shattered. He had shown them papers from his school and they knew he was clever.
Talk to the Dutch college was slapped at my face. Not because I was not good, but because my father was not a northerner.
So that was what the official at the education department told you.
Yes, sir. He says if you are not from the north, then I cannot go to college.
Yes.
Papa.
My boy,
Papa.
I am very, very sorry this has happened to you. Maybe I ought to have told you not to try. Since 1916, I've been living with my family in the north. But when it came to allowing my child to attend that college, now they're now saying I'm not a northerner. When I got enlisted in the army, nobody asked me where I was from. And if they had allowed you to attend that college, I would only have to worry about George's fees. Because all the children who attend that school, they attend for free. They even give them uniform for free and pay their railway and transport fares.
Papa, I know those children, those northerners. I'm even more brilliant than some of them.
The education official has said it all. Your father is not from the north. That means you, my clever son, cannot attend that college.
Papa, I'm sorry.
But James! type of question you were asked at your education official permit. When a man is educated, he will never discriminate between a southerner or another.
I am very, very sorry. You cannot go to college. Your father is not a northerner, and so you cannot go to the college.
When a man is educated, he will never discriminate between a white man or a black man. James?
Papa.
Sorry. I have to leave with the other soldiers for East Africa tomorrow.
Papa, no, Papa, please, Papa, no, Papa, no. Papa.
I told you, you need to get educated. Understand? And let me tell you, you must do all you can to attain the status of the brother judge and living your classes. Alright? Never you forget. Don't forget what I told you. Education is key.
Baba, Mama, Lord. Baba, Mama,
by way of Osogbo.
He realized he was coming down south for the first time.
They took the train and it was short. Soon they arrived at the lorry and bus terminal.
He had never seen a bus or a lorry as a means of transport.
He was so used to the train. It was the first time in a lorry.
Lesha. The boy is calling for passenger going to Lesha. Be fast with your key.
Lesha is Lesha. I don't understand. I don't understand. What does Lesha have to do with delicate powder and waste bead?
The boy is only being patronizing to his big customers. It is called advertising.
Lesha, wọlé o. Àwẹ̀. Ọ̀gá mi, ó ti yá àwọn ọ̀gá mi. Ó ti pẹ́ o. Má fi òbí bàmí pákójá o. Rárá o. Ọ̀gá mi ń dáná lò. Àwẹ̀. Ọ̀gá mi, ó ní wá wà ní mọ́tò mi mà. Ẹ wọ́n mú mi lábẹ́ ọ̀gá mi. Ó yẹ pé èmi ti wá mọ́tò fún ẹ. Ó yẹ. Wọ́n sì ti bí ìṣọ̀lá. ṣe ọmọ nínú ọ̀yá tí mo kọ́ tó fà yẹn.
My brother is good patient.
Àwọn ẹni sùúrù máa bàjẹ́ pọ̀ ìfọ̀kọ̀ jẹ́ kí wọ́n fi wọn fi fọ́kọ̀ ní. Ọkọ̀ ìmí náà ni ọ̀gá ní wọ́n fi wọn sí àná. Àbíbọ̀ kẹ́mi ṣe é rùdé. Ẹni sùúrù tí náà là ń ṣe. Ọ̀yá lọ sọ́kọ̀ jáde. Ó tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ gbé kẹta yẹn lẹ̀ kó fún àìmọ́tò. Jẹ́ ọ̀gá mi. Jẹ́ ọ̀gá mi. Sọ́mi mu. Sọ́mi mu. Jẹ́ ọ̀gá mi. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ fún ọ̀yàwó àwọn ẹgbẹ̀rẹ̀ omi kan ló wọ̀ lórí. Wọ́n yọ sọ́ọ̀kì lẹ́sẹ̀ mọ́tò. Bàbá ní ọ̀yọ́ sọ́ọ̀kì lẹ́sẹ̀ mọ́tò jàre mọ́tò rẹ̀ náà.
His cousin told him they were going to Esaoke that afternoon.
Debishi, I can do Esaoke.
I don't know. I don't see him.
Yes, you know what man like again. Oh, boom. James, you see that Detenee there? He does not have his back. He only washes it half body.
I was half body.
You don't know? Washing the face, hands, and the legs.
So that's half body.
Yes. Even the Shawarma that you live with in Kaduna, you think we don't know them? Some of them are here in Resa. They don't have their back all the time. Oh yeah. Show me one. Come here.
Where are we going now?
We are going to Esaoke.
Okay, are we going by lorry or by train?
Gabari, lorry go. Wale Kajani.
So
we are going by leg. Foot wagon.
We are not going by train.
Oh, have you seen any railway tracks you got? Or any train route? Look, we are proper Resa boys, so bread and buns. We have not lost ourselves to the fakeness of city life.
Okay, so what do you now want to go and do where we are going?
I want to go to the farm.
Oh, farm! Yes. I would love to go to the farm. At least I'll be able to know how crops are grown.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
How are yams grown?
Yams. I know it. Yams grow on trees. Wait, who is Timiwu?
Till he left for Ibadan, they always went to Esaoke on foot.
Except on 2 occasions during the first few weeks, when he was lifted on a bicycle.
He has never walked that long in his life.
This is Esaoke. Now we are going to your mother's place.
Yes.
My
mother.
Yes.
Oh, my grandmother.
The house at Odoja, his grandmother's house, was the first house he entered at Esaoke. Yóò wà lọ́wọ́ ní bàbá rẹ̀ àti ìyẹn rẹ̀ jọ sí kí ọ lọ. Ojú rẹ̀ rèé. Ilẹ̀ ọmọ òfóni ilé òfóni oko. Ọmọ ajíkọ̀bùwà ọmọ adéníwújọ́. Ọmọ jámújámú ọkùnrin akọ̀mọ́ ti kàlẹ́ yìí. Ilẹ̀ kí ni a mọ̀ lọ ilé yan yèyé rẹ̀ kí ọ tó pé máa gbé ọlọ́mọ lọ. Let me take you straight to them.
He was enrolled at St. John's School in Loro, and he loved his few months there. It was at Ilesha that he first saw clothes being woven. It was also at Ilesha that he first learned about local politics.
Baba, I always wanted to ask you something, Baba.
What is it?
Baba, what is AG and NTNC and Egbe Omo Oduduwa?
Okay, like, AG and NCNC are political parties, while Egbe Omo Oduduwa is a group of progressive young minds who are fighting to liberate our country from the shackles of the British colonialists.
Baba, is that what politics is all about?
AG is action group. Egbe Olokwe. While NCNC is the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. They are political parties.
Is that what politics is all about?
Politics should be about liberating the people and ensure their total freedom. That is what politics should be about.
That means I like politics, Baba.
Yes, it is good to be in politics. But politics is good. But when you grow up, James, So I'm calling. Yes. Ensure that you do not involve yourself in bitter politics.
What's bitter politics?
Bitter politics is politics of do or die. Bí ọba ọba bọ́ọ̀bà bá ọkùn lẹ́sẹ̀ yẹn ni pè ní politics of do or die. Ṣé ọgbọ́n mi wá dé láyé ẹ̀?
Few months after entered St. John's Law, he sat for the entrance examinations to Government College in Ibadan.
He was not one of the lucky 24 to be admitted.
As soon as it became clear that he might not make it to Government College, his brother, George, collected the entrance examinations form to Ibadan Grammar School.
When the results came out, he came third out of hundreds of people that wrote the examination.
Ibadan, then I realized that there are so many people in Ibadan. It was bigger than Ilesha or Kaduna. I've never seen so many people in my life.
Ibadan Grammar School taught him discipline. He was quite rascal in school and he got into trouble with his friends, all in class 1B, whose name were two syllables.
The head boy was always telling them to write impositions or send them to detention.
Mr. Gwenle has instructed us to clear the school field for our upcoming inter-house sports. That's one big. What's funny? Do you want to share with the whole school? No, please do share with the whole school.
It was sorry, it was Lajana said your shoe is laughing at us.
Laughing at my shoes, are we?
No.
The usual suspects. Ige. Okay. Imposition time. Now the three of you will write for me 5,000 times. I shall never make fun of the head boy's shoes again in my life. What did I say?
You shall never make fun of the head boy's shoe again in your life.
Not I. You.
Not I. You.
Okay. I. Repeat after me. What's your name?
I. Repeat after me. Bola Ige.
What about you? Now make it 10,000 times. You write, I shall never make fun of the head boy's shoes again in my life. 10,000 times. Now mark your classes. Let's go.
They had quite some interesting schoolmates. They were extroverts and they gave themselves nicknames.
And they had some interesting teachers. There was Mr. J.A. Benle. He taught them English. He was a funny man. He likes pronouncing people's names in funny ways and is always nibbling something.
One day, I decided to check in his pocket out of curiosity to know what he was nibbling.
And that was Mr. Obitola was young and diffident. He was also not fluent in English.
He made quite a few slips before he became confident. He gave them the liberty to have many anecdotes about him.
Has anyone seen Mr. Obitola today?
Maybe he's nibbling on Kolanoti.
No! You are getting it wrong. You know Mr. Obitola that is nibbling on Kolanoti. Who wants Kolanoti?
Have you got the Arapatos? Hello. What's up? Have you cleaned the Arapatos? Haven't you heard of Arapatos before?
No, Arapatos is apparatus.
Shut up! What is the difference of Arapatos and apparatus? Is it not touch? You're not here to know.
About the marks I got in every subject. Although he was more concerned about the class teacher's remarks or the principal's remarks. He believed that if you got fairly good or fairly satisfactory, that means that one is no good or one is a disgrace to family. He always tells me that the priceless possession that one must have is character. He wants me to be the first, but he doesn't mind if I come second, provided my character was first class.
After the long vacation, they returned to school in January 1948. Then, as they knew, the staff must be discussing who would be the head boy and the other school children.
And some of them who knew they would never be started to advise those who they thought to be, so they did not watch over them.
They expected one of the big boys of the saintly types to be head boy. And then...
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
As you know, we the staff have been meeting all morning to decide who will be the new head boy. I am very pleased to announce to you all that unanimously we have chosen as a new head boy Ige! You take over now. God bless you, my son.
Quiet on the assembly ground.
The 1948 head boy are taking charge.
I never found out why the principal, the vice principal, and all the staff voted for me unanimously as senior prefect and head boy for Ibadan Grammar School in 1948.
But what he did not understand was that he was not the boy with the best character. He was not only the brilliant boy.
He was not the most handsome or the most athletic.
He certainly was not the best dressed because he was poor and could only afford 2 uniforms and a pair of sandals.
He was overwhelmed by being called head boy.
I am as much surprised as all of you, but I want to tell you that I will do all that is within my power to uphold the glory and honor of this school. And I need the cooperation of everybody, especially the class 6 boys. And please, and I pray that we shall all have a successful and glorious year. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I wood that speed upon my cost. Yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things go not in my desire. If it be seen to covet honor, I am the most offended soul alive. Thank you. And for the rascally boys, I know you. We're together. I'm glad dismissed.
He had 2 problems. First, he was not sure his elder brother would be able to afford the boarding fees.
Secondly, he had lived outside the boarding school since 1948. Reverend Odusomo was very understanding.
Ige, I understand. Now, with regards to your brother who might find it difficult bearing the boarding cost, I am willing to let you pay back the debt whenever you start working. Any other matter, head boy?
Yes, sir. I was thinking, sir, that since I'm not a consistent brother, I was thinking if I shouldn't run the body now, sir.
So, what do you suggest we do?
I suggest that there should be a brother's prefect to take care of the body now, sir.
All right, then. We shall look into it. Any other matter?
None for now, sir.
Go and continue with your duties, my boy.
Thank you, sir.
What he did not disclose to the principal was that he had other considerations which were very personal.
He did not think he would be able to take first position if he ran for the school and the boarding school.
Therefore, when Akimabo Ije was elected the boarders prefect, he was secretly happy as they were academic rivals. Holy rivalry, they called it.
From that stage in my life, I realized that leadership was a huge burden and a responsibility. That was my attitude to office. I enjoyed sharing power and office with others. And God did not afflict me with the disease of jealousy or ego or wanting for any position in life.
1948 was one of my best years in life. Yeah, it was tactful. Everything worked out wonderfully well.
The prefects ran every aspect of the life of the school, whether day or boarding, whether class or house, or club or society.
He did some very unusual things but were in line with his character.
He made friends with the rascally boys in forms 1 and 2, the type that were like him in his first 2 years of detention class.
This made them think that he belonged more to the school of, he belonged more to them rather than the school authority.
He knew all the escape routes and would occasionally surprise latecomers climbing into and outside the proper school. Through the cave routes, all the day boys were through.
Yeah, I would hide and then encourage them to climb over.
And as each of them did, he would silently ask the next one to come over and not raise an alarm.
That was how he used to catch them and send them to their classes instead of the gate prefects.
They thought some worse punishment awaited them, but after 2 weeks, when they did not hear anything from him, they came to him and they hailed.
Our old senior boy.
Okay, what's the matter?
Senior prefect. It's about that cable business.
Oh, that. So the both of you have to write positions. Yes, Come on, I was just kidding. I'm sure I don't catch you again. No. Alright? Take care.
A few days after he became head boy, he got a message that would change his life forever.
Adetuji Adeyemi approached him.
Head boy. Head boy. I received a letter from my girl cousin and she sent you one greeting.
Just then, Tuji's more ebullient younger brother joined him, Wale.
Who's the cousin of that?
You say you don't know my cousin, that's me, your uncle.
Oh, yes. You're pulling my legs.
You're what?
No, you must have gotten a message from Ajibola.
Yes.
Both of you are pulling my legs.
Show him the letter. Go on, show him the letter.
Head boy.
It was a simple one-page letter.
Written is the finest writing I've ever seen.
The content of the letter was quite plain and innocuous. With regards, it had something like this.
I hear Bola Ige is your new head boy. I wish him the best of luck. That was enough to excite my interest.
Atinuke will be returning from Lagos.
Yes, of course, yes.
If you would like to write her, we'll be glad to take the letter.
Yes, please.
Don't pull my legs, guys.
Head boy! Head boy!
Don't do this.
Head boy!
I was known to Lucas since 1944, when she was spent a year at Ibadan Grammar School. Her grandfather, Hewo, had built the land on which Ibadan Grammar School was sited. Perhaps because her parents felt she would not do well at the boys' school, she was sent to CMS Girls' School in Lagos. We both lived in Detention, but her house was impenetrable to girls, boys. Her father, Mr. S.A. Oloko, who had 6 girls in 1948, didn't want city boys bothering his girls. He usually saw Tinuke when she came home on holidays, and we were amused by her white health.
One day, I decided to go visit her at Ekotedo one morning in 1948.
What he could not fathom was why he went through the door by the side instead of the door in front.
He wore his uniform. And guess what? The first person he saw was Tinuke.
And then I decided to reply. Hello? Hello? Who's in?
She was caught unawares by my coming through the back door. She wore a boga and the wrapper and her hair was uncovered.
Is anybody in?
What is it?
It's Bola Ige.
Just a second.
I decided to be polite.
She stood by the front door and I could not know whether to go in front of her or to follow her.
However, the matter was resolved when she said,
Please come in to the sitting room.
For a few seconds, I could not move.
He sat on a cushioned chair, and then she said,
Just a second.
They sat in silence. Then Bola Ige broke it and said,
Tinuke, thank you for the message you sent through your cousin to me.
Oh no, don't mind Tunji and Wale. Actually, I didn't send any message to you. It's just my cousin Wale. He's very naughty, telling you what I didn't ask him to tell you.
All right. Tinuke, I hope you don't mind if I see you off to the railway station.
No. You can't come to the railway station. Who will I tell my father?
Okay. What if, I hope you don't mind if you write to me?
Well, about writing to you, I'll think about it. It's just that I don't know what to write to you.
Okay, I actually don't mind writing to you first. I mean, I need to know that you've gotten to school safe. And about what to write, you can just write me anything. Like, just encourage me and be the head boy.
she is definitely worried about her father.
Tinuke, I think I'll take my leave now.
but just about then, they heard the sound of her father's machine and car being driven in. Then as he would make his way through the back door, Bola Ige made his way out of the front door.
This experience started a courtship and friendship
that lasted for 12 years and 3 months.
It was not broken for a day.
Not even by what we call lovers' quarrels.
When I was governor of Oyo State from 1979 to 1983, Snooker was the judge at the High Court in Ibadan. I used to crack a joke that I was the first head of government anywhere who was also married to a High Court judge in the country or state. She is my lady, who is some other people's role.
By the time he left Ibadan Grammar School in 1948, he had become emotionally attached to Ibadan as much as he was to Kaduna.
He now came to appreciate the ancient city and learned its history.
He was no longer angry as he was in his first 2 years in Ibadan.
Of course, he had initial revulsion about the Ololu masquerade and Ibadan festival.
Exchange necessary words to each other during Ibadan days. Kini Olopa, Kini Akowe.
This is me, James Solomon. All that you've seen and heard.
Yes, all that you've seen and heard was about him and me. No,
him.
Me. And I am James Ajibola Ige, or Bola Ige, or simply Ige, from now onwards.
You'll be the one you'll be seeing and not me. That is my life.
That was my life, and what a 19-year-old life, packed full with adventures. But my adult years were almost even more eventful.
Those are two stages of a life. Though they are incomparable, one gives way and continuity for another.
And so I continue where James has stopped there. Thank you, James, as Bola Ige takes over.
In Ibadan Grammar School, the students engaged in what they called incuba, that is, studying until late in the night.
He took 9 subjects, the maximum allowed for the Cambridge School certificate. As head boy, he took
English language,
English literature,
religious knowledge,
history,
geography,
mathematics,
Latin,
Yoruba, and
biology.
As the head boy, God heard all his prayers and crowned all his efforts with success. Now when the results from Cambridge arrived, not only did he come first in each of 7 out of 9 with 6 A1s,
he also wiped out the record set by Harvard, Onitiri, who finished in the year before them.
he beat Akimabogunje with an A1 in geography, who in turn beat him with, to the second position in Latin. while Basharu and one other person beat him to the third position in mathematics.
But my A1 in English language was not for the Ibadan Grammar School only. Because according to the principal, apart from everybody else, I got an alpha for the whole of the western part of Nigeria.
The following September, he was one of those who made the school proud by securing admission into the University College, Ibadan, UCI as it was then called.
Not only did he emerge as the best student in the Faculty of Arts during the entrance examinations into University College, Ibadan.
That indeed was the heavy burden of Brother George's shoulders.
Now, at the University College, Ibadan, he read law, Latin, and Greek, and graduated with a BA honors in 1955.
He participated in union and also participated in student political activities. He was the chairman of the editorial board of The Bug, a popular student magazine.
He was also a regular contributor with the University Herald, a student's quarterly magazine.
First non-teacher to stimulate his interest in writing, general journalistic writing, was Brother Kolawole Joseph Balogun. He was the General Secretary for the NCNC as well as a member of the Zikist movement. He got him novels and also introduced him to classical novels.
He it was who indirectly aroused my interest in politics. He was so interested in politics that he left the Government College Ibadan after class 4 to follow one of 6 newspapers. He wrote for the West African Pilot.
Partly out of affection, partly out of increased curiosity.
I began reading the pilots more avidly than I had done in Kaduna.
Read those with Brother Collar's hand in the articles in the pilot, except for the great Zig's column.
I began to take a closer look at Nigerian politics and politicians. By 1945, I was writing letters to the editor of the Southern Nigerian Defender, attacking the Assistant District Commissioner of Elisha, one Mr. Bridgestock.
And in 1948, when he moved to the University College, he had not only partook in rallies organized by the Zix movement, he had also contributed in writings on Gandhi, on Nehru, and Indian women that were politicians.
The seed for that interest was planted in me by Brother Collar, but that seed became even more fired when I got to the University College in Ibadan.
He was the editor of the newsletter of the Student Christian Movement, SCM. He was also the president of the Society for the Promotion of African Arts and Culture. He was also the general secretary of the Campus Action Group Club.
He participated very well in the literary and creative societies, the Mystical Club, Musical Society, the Dancing Club, and the Social Circle.
I taught briefly at Ibadan Grammar School from 1955 to 1956. And oh, how great that was as homecoming. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to give back in a little way to a great school that had shaped me.
Bola Ige was elected to represent the Student Christian Movement of Nigeria, Gold Coast and Sierra Leone at the World Christian Conference in Kottayam, Kerala, India in 1953, and the General Committee of the World Christian Federation in January 1953.
By the time I proceeded to the University College London in October 1956 to read law, I knew that my feet were planted on the path of a most life-engaging career.
He graduated in record time in 1958, proud holder of
Bachelor of Laws, LLB. It was during his studies in London that he got very much involved in international students' politics.
He was the first Assistant General Secretary of the Nigerian Union of Great Britain and Ireland.
Member of the Socialist Club.
Member of the Labour Club.
Member of the Executive Council of World Christian Federation.
One of the editors of the New Nigerian Forum.
And the coordinating secretary of the International Students Quadrennial, which was held in Ohio, Athens, USA, among many others.
By then, Atinuke Oloko had also finished her studies in law.
And when he returned to Nigeria in 1959, he knew that one of the very first projects which he must undertake was a wedding!
couple. What a positive and memorable way to tap a friendship that was initiated almost 13 years ago.
And having begun a family with all the joys and expectations of a happy home, his foray into the tumultuous forest of public life began.
And that was when he started mingling with the denizens of the underworld called politics.
The powers and the principalities, the good, the bad,
and
the ugly of humanity. Between 1956 and October 1st, 1960, Nigeria went through some of the most turbulent periods in her history. And the major actors were the three regional leaders and their parties.
One party that strategized to expand its organization network by concentrating and championing the causes of pockets of people in minority areas was the Action Group under Obasanjo. The party went into alliance with various local groups in the north. One of them was United Middle Belt Congress, UMBC. The AG was very active in Middle Belt.
J.S. Kaka. He was a young and careless man whose instinct always tells him to be with the poor. He was AG's organizer in Tifland.
Now, the North was the stronghold of Ahmadu Bello's NPC, the Northern People's Congress. J.S. Carter was loved by his people and considered the leaders of all teams. And the UMPC were so formidable that the Action Group won all the seats in Tifland during the 1959 federal elections.
All the candidates of the NPC lost their deposits. This massive defeat angered the northern government and the terrible political witch hunt began.
Taka was in the eye of the storm. The northern regional government thought it would destroy the movement by arresting Taka and 5 other leaders, charging them with treason, having levy war against Nigeria.
That was when I met Taka. Mr. S.M. Morodia started a legal practice in Jos. And it was a great time for me because I was assigned to interview Taka and the rest of the accused to gather facts for a cast iron defense.
19 days he was with Taka and 5 others, and he tried to gather all that he could, all information that he could. And then, since then, he has been working with Taka and he has been doing everything for him for almost free.
Now, the AG did not pay him any money, and the UMPC had no money to pay either. But between 1961 and 1965, he spent at least 10 days every month doing legal work for the UMPC in Tifland.
Following the rebellion which erupted from the oppression and humiliation of the Tiv people by the northern Nigerian government because of the NPC's failed election.
Help us! This is unfair!
It's unfair! When tax collectors were set against the people,
the people were arrested because of being thieves. Hundreds and hundreds of men and old men and middle-aged people, they were assaulted and they were also exposed to harsh weather.
Denial of legal representation.
Substitution of pleas of not guilty with guilty for scores of people.
People were sentenced to long-term imprisonment with strokes of the cane.
I was a lawyer to more than 2,000 people maliciously charged, and I handled over 200 cases on appeal. The situation in the north exposed me to the situation which was multi-ethnic fractional politics that was to plague our young Nigeria, courtesy of its politicians. Anyway, the action group brought in Chief F.R.A. Williams and a team of lawyers to defend Tappet and his colleagues. I was their junior, even though I was not in the action group. They made very good use of my material, especially all the copious notes I had assembled on the witnesses.
It's not so difficult to discredit those ones that brought testimonies because they were under the weight of the man who was called Rotimi Williams.
Sir, you can see that all the witnesses have been bribed to bear false witness. In the end, all the 6 persons accused were discharged and acquitted.
Chief. That was a brilliant representation, Chief. And Mr. Murumbia. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. It was quite outstanding. In fact, freedom of Taka and his colleagues means freedom of the Tiv people. Yes. Today will remain a memorable day in the life of an average politically conscious Tiv man.
Yes. It is important that our man, Taka, and his colleagues regain freedom, thanks to the legal artillery of Chief Williams.
Oh, no, dear. Thanks to that young man.
Oh, you mean Bola Ige? He is one of the promising leaders in our legal profession. Reliable, sir.
Yeah, very thorough. His research made the case simple for us. The judge was not about the choice. The linchpin of the case was the venue of the meeting where the said decision to levy war was taken. So the election was taking place. Bola Ige's copious and detailed notes about the size of the place and its geography, coupled with the information about those who would give false evidence, made the case an easy ride.
Could you imagine, sir? Could you imagine? Some of them had never even been to that house before, and their testimony crashed like a pile of cards.
But Moro,
yes, sir.
He has been working with you for some time now.
Yeah, sure.
How do you rate him? Are you sure the boy is not an enemy of our party?
Oh,
I mean,
why did you say that, Chief?
Sometime last year, I received a letter from him in which he stringently critiqued our party, the action group, and our manifestos, especially the portion that deals with defense.
Oh, that's him, Bola Ige. That's him. Whatever his eyes see or his ear hear. Oh, his mouth must talk. I've never worked, honestly, I've never worked with a young man so strong and quick to respond to issues he feels uncomfortable with.
Yeah. And Chief, he's one of those young men out there with boiling blood for change and strong passion.
Exactly, that is him. That is him, exactly. Because he has a strong language and caustic language too. That is it. A strong pen, caustic language.
Oh, then I have a date with him. Yes, and it's the type we're looking for. Yes. That boiling blood of him, I want him to come and dissipate it in the party.
Oh, fantastic choice.
Perhaps it is action time to rejig AG.
Action time to rejig action group.
After you, Chief.
A few months after the results of the elections into the Northern Legislature were announced, Obafemi Awolowo called together a group of young men whom he thought would give a new lease of life to his party.
With the exception of Anthony Enaporo and S.G. Pope, it could be said that all the others were either on the fringes of the action group
leaders who had not yet decided whether or not to join any of the political parties.
I am presuming today that Chief Bola is running 2 minutes late. There he is! Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I welcome you all. Please introduce ourselves, please.
I am Anthony Elahodo.
And I am SG Ikoko.
I am Professor Hezekiah Oluwafunmi.
Professor Akimabo.
I'm all from the same university.
I am Ade Babise, the manager of the action.
Bola Ige.
Well, gentlemen, the recent political meeting is straightforward. We need a redirection for our party. So you have been selected to form a small brainstorming group to help chart a new idea. You understand that? To help chart a new idea and help us recommend the steps to take to see that our leaders, our political leaders, enjoy political patronages in line with the ideology of the party.
Various memoranda from the meeting focused on 3 major decisions which could affect the party for good or for ill.
Resolutions, gentlemen. Could this time be help us with a summary?
Yes, the committee as constituted, having met, hereby proposes the following as a way forward for a new broad-based, all-inclusive and people-oriented action group for transparency and true justice. First, that the party adopts democratic socialism as its ideology. Second, the consequences of the acceptance of the ideology by party leaders and members are as follows. Nobody, especially government officials and party functionaries, must have more than 1 plot of government land. Fringe benefits and perks for ministers and parliamentary secretaries should be slashed. Third, that the party should pronounce that the party is supreme, that anybody who holds office does so at the pleasure of the party. Therefore, anybody who holds any governmental position must see that these policies are either laid down by the party or are in line with the policies of the party.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I must, on behalf of the party, thank you all for your time and your intellectual commitment invested in the document. But as was known, I cannot arbitrarily take decisions within the party. But this memorandum will be taken to the executive committee of our party for adoption or rejection, as the case may be. But as for me, I agree with the letters and principles therein. Thank you very much.
And that was how he got mainstreamed into the Action Group Party apparatus.
In February 1962, I found myself elected as the Federal Publicity Secretary of the Action Group at the memorable Just Conference, when I had not even been a year in the party.
Thus began a process of strong political bonding and father-son relationship with Chief Awolowo.
From almost nothing, except for simply being human, I rose to become a close confidant of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, one of the most intense political philosophers the world has ever known at such an early age. Providence, it must have been. I was so favored by the sage that he once gave me a book titled The Master Key, the key to understanding God, self, and life generally.
God so much favored by the political sage that
I was pleasantly surprised when in 1967 I was told that Awolowo chose me as somebody to be appointed to ministerial position by the federal military government of General Yakubu Gowon. When it was clear that only one person from the western region could be chosen, I was one of the 6 names that was chosen to be appointed commissioner. I was given the biggest ministry, agriculture and natural resources.
July 1967, saw the gradual slide of Nigeria into the dark recesses of a civil war that lasted for 13 months.
Certainly, the slogans that rented the air was secession,
Biafra, each tried to his home.
Secondly, we had forgotten the second stanza of our most cherished anthem. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand.
brotherhood gradually became torn apart.
Sadly, Nigeria had become an echo of the William Butler Yeats poem, The Second Coming. Difficult for me. How could I fall apart from parts that had become permanent parts of my body? From Ibadan to Kaduna, I had lived, slept, and ate in the company of Nigeria's diverse ethnicities.
And then his counsel saved the Hebrews.
Your Excellency, you may be seated. Now we are all aware of the goings on in this country. Things have started to take a turn for the worse. The Biafrans have started to bomb Lagos and plant explosives under bridges and other installations. The federal military government has therefore decided to take up action to round up all the Igbos and send them back to the east. In Ibadan, the University of Ibadan will be used as a reception center where all the Igbos will be collected together before shipping them home. All state governors concerned have been given this order to carry out in order to save the infrastructure of this country from destruction by the Igbos.
When this matter was raised in the cabinet, Bola Ige felt greatly troubled within him. He had read the laws and heard the laws about the German concentration camps during the Second World War and what happened to 6 million Jews. He then was not comfortable.
I could not accept this position to what might end up as mass murder. It was not, it cannot be the right way to resolve this problem.
Silently then prayed for wisdom as to what to say.
After some of his colleagues had spoken, he signified to speak.
Your Excellency, sir.
Yes, Mr. Ige, you have the floor to speak.
In all truth, my Christian conscience cannot accept this. I therefore suggest that we not accept this plan by the federal military government. We only need to remember the child and actress to imagine the kind of disaster that will come upon our land as a result of this plan. However, I realize that the governor cannot say a blank no to the head of state. I therefore advise that we suggest to the federal government that let them start the plan first. If we see how successful it is in Lagos and elsewhere, then we will see what the West can do. Thank you.
Your Excellency.
Yes, Secretary to the military government.
I support Mr. Ige's position. I wholeheartedly back his position. Yes.
Do we then take that as the position of this cabinet?
Yes.
Very well then. I shall take the collective advice and decision of this cabinet and communicate it to the Commander-in-Chief appropriately. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this meeting. It is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Because of Ige's suggestion to the governor, which was transmitted to the military government, there was no rounding up of the people in Ibadan.
And because of their stand in the western region, there was none other planned in other places.
We were not unaware that our people were being killed in explosions masterminded by Biafra agents in Lagos. But we did not want to take actions because of the unification of the country. We were also aware of the abuses, the repugnant vituperations against the Yorubas on Radio Biafra. But we did what we did for the sake of God, for the sake of humanity, and for us not falling into grievous sin.
He was one of those numerous people in Western Nigeria and Lagos who did everything to see that no harm came to the Igbos.
He even went further to endanger his family by sheltering the families of his friends in his house.
I am passionately convinced that I am pro-Igbo. I am completely pro-Igbo. But I am not pro-Biafra. I am indeed pro-Nigeria. I lived amongst the Igbos in Ibadan and Kaduna.
He even went to university with some of them.
He thought they were as good as other people from other ethnic groups.
Of course, they have peculiarities and outlooks based upon their background, but which group of people do not have their own idiosyncrasies?
The Emewas,
The Ebubes,
The Onyagoros,
the Nwokolos,
the Onmechinis,
the Ezilos,
And the rest that we went to school with.
are they any different from the Yorubas,
the Hausas,
the Efiks,
the Urobos,
and the Gwaris that he knew?
Although it is a universal virtue to be kind to others, especially when their humanity feels threatened, I believe that what Tinuke and I did to save the Igbos from danger was not an exceptional act. We were simply acting to the dictates of our embodied cultural humanity of our own immediate ethnicity, the Yorubas. No group of people, thank you, no group of people anywhere in the country should have to face danger. I do not agree with it. It is a sacrilege. Our wealth as a nation and our people lies deeper and deeper in not falling apart than in falling apart. Though tribal tongues may vary, we all make the same sounds. What we need do is work hard at making an agreeable sound.
the chairman of the Housing Corporation of Western Nigeria.
It was indeed a very messy case. Although I was a commissioner in the government of Western Nigeria at the time, I felt I had to make the concern of Nigerians make. I accused the Supreme Court justices of trying to build a fascist military dictatorship in the country. Of course, on May 25th, 1970, I was sacked from my job by the government. No excuse was given. No matter. I made my way back to the Ibadan court and I was warmly welcomed for a case. At least, no military governor can sack me from my wig and gown.
How can he who serves government, how can he who serves government have the temerity to criticize government?
Government must have reason. Government appoints, government fires.
of military dictatorship desired an end to the anathema, and Nigeria is not an exception.
In the opinion of many, except the military, of course, the worst democratic government is better than the best military dictatorship. One of the reasons adduced for the removal of General Yakubu Gowon on July 29, 1975 by those who planned a coup against him was that he was beginning to renege on his promise to hand over power to the civilian government through a democratic process.
General Muritala Mohammed, who had succeeded him, had set out plans to correct this bad record of the military and also set out plans for democratic transition. Unfortunately, he was assassinated in a counter-coup.
And when the coup failed, the burden or the luck of leadership fell on Olusegun Obasanjo, who did not hesitate to carry out to the extent the agenda of transferring power to the civilian group.
Since the country had been repressed under the boots of the military for so long, and the first coup had suspended or cancelled the constitution, which empowered the First Republic, the number one item on the political program was drafting a new and suitable constitution which would enable and sustain democratic governance.
Bola Ige was one of those nominated to the Constitution Review Committee and the Constituent Assembly.
Now, by the time the chairman of the Constituent Assembly submitted his report to General Obasanjo, the entire country was already high in anticipation of the lifting of the ban on politics. Already, subtle political affiliations have started at the Constituent Assembly.
And when the bell rang for the race to begin, one of the parties to be formed was the one led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the Unity Party of Nigeria.
52 parties were formed in all. 52 political parties were formed in all. 19 were registered, but only 5 were adjudged to have passed the qualification tests.
And they are the Great Nigeria People's Party, GNPP,
the National Party of Nigeria, NPN,
Nigerian People's Party, NPP,
People's Redemption Party, PRP,
and of course, the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN.
Now, elections could be conducted at the local, state, and federal levels into political offices to be conducted by FEDECO as the umpire. FEDECO.
Soon, the matter of who will become the leader of Oyo State became a matter of deliberation between the parties, especially NPN and UPN.
And then, something unusual in Nigerian politics at the time happened.
A group of people visited Chief Obafemi Awolowo in his home in Ikene, and the demand of the group was simple and direct.
I welcome you, our royal fathers, leaders of religions and communities. So what do we know with purpose this?
Thank you, Chief. Our father says, "Tí bá nídìí, obìnrin kì í jẹ́ kí wọ́n lù."
For no just cause, woman does not defeat the female pioneer. Another way of saying that is that àgbàlagbà tó bá ń sáré nínú ẹ̀kan tí nǹkan ò bá lé òun náà lé nǹkan. Oh, there you go, kábíyèsí. There you go. That is a bit tricky, but I will try. The elder racing in the sharp-bladed elephant grass field. If he is not in pursuit of something, definitely something is in pursuit of him.
And to add to this of the Holy Book, it says, "Watch and pray."
Indeed, we must, as the elders and representatives of our people within the state.
Or your state.
Exactly. Thank you. As I was saying, indeed, we must make hay while the sun shines because
I'll bet you won't very well, I tell you.
But our elders, I am still far from understanding.
I and my brother royal father,
I and my brother Bishop, I and my community leader here,
all of us, we have been sent by our people. So, you regard us as
elders. Yes, and we have been watching the unfolding events from the political arena. We are supposed to be traditional royal fathers. But I don't understand what is happening any longer.
That is it. Our father says the soul does not share in the elder's soul. As a matter of fact, that's true. That's elder. May our fathers never experience a stomach ache as a result of our soul of plate of unpalatable soup. What we are saying is that we do not want any unpalatable soup. That is the purpose for which we are here. Or stew, or broth, or pepper soup, capable of inflicting us with political ulcer.
Thank you. That is why we here, concerned people of Oyo State from
Ibadan,
Ibarapa to Ife, to Okeogun,
the
entire Oyo State.
How?
They
Our people say that they like your party.
They love your manifesto.
Your 4 cardinal program.
We are ready to give you our support. We are ready to give you our vote in this coming election.
In all the elections, local government, state and federal levels.
Yes. How about one?
Give us the candidates that we want.
Give us a candidate that our people
want. Exactly, our people want.
Yes, I know, but then what? Which candidate? I mean, what candidate? I mean,
Bola Ige. Yes, Chief.
Bola Ige. We know he is young. Yes. But he's the one we want out of all of those we are interested in becoming governor.
Give us Bola Ige.
All right. I will take your message to our party. The committee of our party.
That it was the first speech made in an official Nigerian language, Yoruba. I was very confident that I was going to lift up the masses. Free education, free health care for every citizen of the state. for every citizen, not an indigent. I thank God silently in my mind because I was going to be one of the new architects of a new Nigeria.
His 4-year tenure as governor was very eventful. He followed the manifesto of his great party, the Unity Party of Nigeria. He and his other colleagues in other states made positive impact. But what distinguished his governorship from others was his strategy and his determination to make young people the face of the administration. He had such great passion for children, and he also devised his own ways of bringing them close to him, no matter how grassroots they were.
Those who were in primary and secondary school then, who experienced the vintage of Bola, would not forget so easily.
From your sister. Wait, not from my sister. Okubola sent it. Okubola did not know. Governor. Letter. Soyora. Okubola Ige. He sent us the letter. He sent all the students all over the state the letter.
You have just completed the first year of your secondary school education. I hope you had a very useful school year and laid a good foundation for your career. Shortly before you left your primary school last year, many people thought it was not possible to admit you and the over 120,000 of your colleagues into secondary schools in 1 year. Because of the commitment of our government and our party, the Unity Party of Nigeria, to providing all of you with free secondary education, we believed it was possible. We made it possible because we also believed that every child, like yourself, is entitled to be provided with education by the state. We believe too that we must not let any of you become the servant of the opponents of this program. Hence we did all we could to make it possible. Everyone has now seen that it has been made possible. Let me recall some of what I told you on September 26th last year, your first day in grammar school. Today, some 100,000 of you boys and girls in all parts of Oyo State, in cities, towns and villages, from poor homes, from rich homes, from not so rich homes, are entering secondary school for the first time. I want you to realize that there are millions of Nigerian children in other parts of the country who do not have this opportunity as you have. I hope you make use of the great opportunity. I trust that you took care of the books you were given at school. I hope you shall be of great help to your parents during the holidays. As a member of the Young Pioneers movement, you must and shall be good example to others and to your junior brothers and sisters who will join you in September this year. Have a nice holiday. Enjoy yourself and be good. I am your Uncle Bola.
We know the governing style of other governors are for it. And let's not forget the Young Pioneers movement.
I am Odiafil.
These soldiers, by decorating their ignorance, their deliberate wickedness with our zeal. Politicians must be careful. We must be vigilant. We should read between the lines.
But uncle, you told us never to make any decision in anger.
Yes, I did. But àwọn bàbá wa ló sọ pé ọmọ rẹ̀ ló máa rí ní tún kì í bí. These soldier boys, they are insulting us. Wọ́n gùn agàràgà. They are insulting our intelligence.
It's even enough insult already that soldiers are in political power.
I have always believed that it is not appropriate that soldiers should midwife the democratic process. But one can tolerate that as a peculiarity of our situation in Nigeria. But this one now, he is just taking things too far already. He has formed political parties for politicians. How sincere can that be?
Uncle, he has never been sincere. That is why his name is Maradona.
What? Our father said,
yes, but we cannot afford to vacate the fields for them.
Look, is this a level playing field where the military has taken over the functions and the initiatives of the stakeholders of democracy by forming religious and forming political parties, registering political parties and setting up state secretariats for them? Can't you see? These are his political parties, and you want me to commit my time, my resources to such a process that I know will be dead on arrival.
But we cannot conclude now before...
Benga, then you are not seeing what I'm saying. You are not saying what I'm saying. Listen, he is wasting our own time by buying time for himself. These are his political parties. They are meant for his transition from military to civilian rule. Those two parties are pregnancies aborted even before conception.
Uncle, you mean he might want to stay on?
Not that he might want to stay on. He is going nowhere. Nowhere. Can't you see the handwriting on the wall? He is merely inviting politicians to join the process by legitimizing the 419 political pepper soup he is cooking.
But that will be terrible. After all this much money and hype spent on the transition program, in spite of all these structures, Center for Political Studies,
BAMSA,
Be Free, NRC, National Republican Convention,
Social Democratic Party, SDP,
two-party secretariats in every local government,
Option A4,
and many more. Sheer waste of time and resources of the people of this country. I know his mind. I can see the dance of his legs. His legs, they dance backward and forward. Backward and forward. But don't be dismayed. You go ahead and participate. My sit-down look posture does not mean that I am tired of participating in politics. It's just enough for me to survey from a vantage point all the abracadabra that this fella who thinks he is the smartest army general can speak. My sit-down look ideology is passive activism.
Imagine the political field without Oku as an active participant.
I said it, the Elo participate. I will be watching from the sidelines. We shall network.
Where you will be sitting with him.
Of course. Look, if things are to go ahead, alright, we must release our people from the shackles of the military. Okay? This Babangida train is going nowhere. I am convinced that it will derail.
What's a dark prediction? But Uncle, you have always taught us to be optimistic. You are fast becoming a prophet of doom.
Well, it is not all gloom. Brightness often envelops darkness and vomits it into a valley of eternal vanishing. So it's not all dark. But this transitional Maradona, who thinks that he can fool 120 million people, is going nowhere. Mark my words. He will end up in a political and historical oblivion. I'm going to get through to all of my links in the country. We must strategize.
When you be sit-down looking.
Now sit-down look, I do.
Sit-down look, palava. Sit-down look, palava.
And that was how he became the political philosopher known for the sit-down look school of thought.
Standard look. His witty and satiric barbs about the aspect of Nigerian political life are quite memorable. Sit-down look.
Sit-down look.
Daily Times! Concord!
Transition palava!
President Ibrahim Babangida has allowed the formation of two political parties, and then in the next year, June 1993, he annulled the election. Daily Times! Concord! Transition palaver. General Sani Abacha has allowed the formation of 5 political parties. 5 fingers of a leprous hand. Bola Ige says.
I am not only going to sit down, look. I am not going to, and in fact, I will even turn down, look. Okay? Watch out. Now, listen. This Abacha is now trying to add salt to the injury of our body as a nation. So what Babangida his friend did. Babangida formed 2 political parties, okay, and invested the political future of this nation in the Awada Keri drama. And what was the end of it?
Annulment.
Okay. Now this Abacha has gone to form 2 political parties. Sorry, 5 political parties. Let me tell you, these parties are going nowhere. You know what these 5 political parties are? 5 fingers of a leprous hand. Now see, don't look, I do. See, don't look, I know what. See, don't look, I know what. Our Nigerian roads. The first is PDP, a car whose engine has knocked. And the second is APP, who is a car that's always having accidents. And the third party, my own, AD, is a car with a perfectly good body, a good engine, but has no driver. Now, see, don't look at it, Joe.
this was rewarded with restrictions, but mostly by detention and imprisonment.
In the course of his political vocation, Chief Bola Ige was a regular guest of law enforcement agencies and a regular inmate of prisons all across the country.
Ajibade was already an inmate in Makurdi.
And that was one of the most gut-wrenching moments I had in Makurdi prison. Chief Ige was brought from the SSS office to meet me here in Makurdi.
Move beside me.
I was set aside for a harsher sentence. When they couldn't hatch the plan to burn down my house, they bundled me out of Ibadan all the same, as if I was going to be killed. The military governor of Oyo State, then Mr. Ahmed Usman of the Abacha government, had a unique category for those of us persecuted in this manner. We were prisoners of war.
Ige was an elderly friend